Greetings and welcome to Star Trek Discovery Pod, a sometimes funny, trying to be smart podcast covering all things new and classic Trek. Engage the core. I am your captain, Mariah Gossett. With me on the view screen, we have
Clyde Haynes. I was going to say something exactly like that. So now I have nothing. Thanks, Mariah.
Friendship.
And Warp Me, Paul Satachet.
Nice.
Yeah, tonight we are recapping and discussing the final 2 episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks. Boo. But first, just a couple of reminders. Paul, can you tell people where they can find to subscribe and things like that?
Sure. If you can find and subscribe to things like that on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. All links are at StarTrekPod.co. And if you want to help us out, consider updating your Patreon to a monthly charge or something like that. More information to come, but like now is a good time to help us out for some dollars a month.
The Patreon charges you monthly. That's the only new change instead of, it's the same.
Per episode, yeah.
So come on Patreon.
Come on and join us. And Clyde, if people are hanging out with us tonight live on YouTube, which you can do on Thursday nights, we'll figure out what's happening. We'll be covering definitely the Section 31 movie in January. So that we have to look forward to. Other programming TBD. But if they're hanging out with us tonight live, Clyde, how can people engage in the chat?
There are so many ways that they can engage their core. Like Choopy and Nicole, who are already in the chat, you can just drop by and say hello or hi. Hi, Choopy. Hi, Nicole. But if you have something you want us to see or read or consider, then just type capital P, capital O, capital D, capital pod into the chat, and we'll take a look at your musings, your thoughts, your questions, your comments. And then in a moment, when we get to that special time, just type capital H, capital F, capital HF in the chat for your overall thoughts about episodes 9 and 10 tonight as we jump in and dive and discuss all things Lower Decks.
Indeed. And with that note, I think it is time for some
Hot Freaks! Hot Freaks!
It's time for some hot breaks. All right. Paul, what did you think of our final 2 episodes?
I mean, as we suspected, it was a 2-parter, and it was. I thought it I'm glad they brought Dark Boimler.
William.
Yeah. I called it. No one sent me what you call it, a Venmo tip or anything. So feel free to.
For accurate predictions.
That's right. Indeed. That's right. But yeah, I thought they were good enough. That's probably I don't know if I kind of wanted the ending to be bigger, if that means anything. I know it's going to be kind of weird to say that, considering that it ends with interdimensional wormhole.
Yeah. I was like, how much bigger can they go?
But ultimately, it was a really disappointing antagonist.
I see. There wasn't truly a big bad this season.
Yeah, it was like an accident and some third-rate character that I haven't even seen yet. Right? So, but
yeah,
Star Trek.
Clyde, what were your thoughts?
I loved it. I thought it was a really well done capstone to the series. You gave me everything I needed to feel some sense of closure, even though I didn't want it. I thought they did a fantastic job of just sprinkling in a whole bunch of nods to Star Trek in general, starting with Alfre Woodard's character from the First Contact movie, kind of bringing that full circle, having Enterprise and having all these different characters from all of Trek. And then my favorite little moment was when that wave hit the first Klingon ship. We
got a Discovery Klingon?
Yes, the Discovery Klingon. I was like, it's just it was so full of little things that I thought they did a great job, including the kind of romantic nod to Tendi and Rutherford at the end. I was here for it all. The only nit I might pick is Ransom. Really? Thought
We'll
they might
get
have
to
went in a different
all
direction.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to all that. But yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was for a season ending that they didn't know was their ending until halfway through. I thought they did a really incredible job of wrapping it up, and I found it to be a pretty satisfying goodbye. And it also didn't feel like a true goodbye, which I also enjoyed. And I think that this cast knows that once you're in, and this whole crew who works in the show knows, once you're in the Star Trek universe, it's pretty hard to fully leave, as by example in our penultimate episode. There's always room to come back for more Trek. And I thought we got really satisfying character arcs for our core four. So I'm really excited about that. But yes, we will dive in. But first, a few hot freaks from messages from the Menage. I think we just have this one from Kiyun, but Clyde, do you want to read this one?
Maybe
you didn't pull up the outline, and I will read it instead. Fisher Quest is now one of my favorite episodes of the series. It was a fan service done right. I'm glad we got Jolene back after that unfair reaction in Enterprise from so-called fans. I guess we can see the logic of not promoting Harry. I'm upset it's over, but I walked away from the new Next Generation with a smile on my face. We got the payoff of 5 years of character development for Mariner and Boimler. Mariner's closing speech is now one of my favorites in Trek. Let's hope we get more chances to engage the core.
Boom, engage that core.
I think my sentiments exactly. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll dive in. We'll start with Fisher Quest. This was written by Lauren McGuire, directed by Brandon Williams. Obviously, this was like from jump. I was very excited as soon as we boarded this secret ship, because I was like, does this mean we could potentially see a Boimler in the Section 31 movie? I don't know. It could be a fun little cameo. It would make my day. But yeah, obviously this episode is like so chock full of fan favorites, and I think fun side parts and confirmations of fan theories. I squealed at Garrick and Bashir. But what were y'all reactions to that? The minute we sort of see the crew lineup that we're going to be hanging out with for this episode?
You know, my first thought was how hard it must have been to choose the lineup, right?
Yeah.
It's basically going, I got a handful of spots and I got to choose an all-star team.
And who's available and who's willing to do it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so much. I was like, this has got to be so hard. And then yet I thought they did a really good job. And I thought you had a number of nods to great characters. And I agree with Karen. Bringing back Jolene Blaylock, what a great way to bring her back into kind of the Star Trek fold. I thought it was amazing. So I was happy to see that. I thought there was a lot of jokes in there. Like, what happened to your Tuvok? Like, there were just a lot of great moments. So when I saw the lineup, I was like, this is going to be fun. I felt fully engaged in my core, and I was ready to kind of see where it went. So,
yeah. Paul, what about you?
I think I was okay with everyone except for Curzon.
Not a fan of Curzon?
Well, it's not even that. I mean, Curzon was fine, but like, Curzon is not a character that I know.
Yeah, it would have been more fun if it was Jexia.
It would, yeah, or someone that I knew, like from another. Like, how many times have you seen Curzon Dax? And you see, like, the answer is 0, right?
Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of a fun way for them to add something to the canon, which I think is where Lower Decks really shines, is when they do that lovely combination of expanding the canon we do know, and then also fucking around in there.
Yeah, like I had a similar thought when I first saw Curzon. I was like, really? And then I was like, wait, but we've seen a number of Dax kind of incarnations. Like this is like for our purposes, the original. Okay. And especially after seeing so much kind of Trill like history done in Discovery, I was actually open for it. And I was like, okay, well, let me see where kind of those predecessors of the Dax that we know came from. And it was far grumpier than I expected.
I really enjoyed the T'Pol and Curzon kind of weird frenemy relationship. Yeah, it was fun. And then I think Mariner was all of us when this alternative version of Mariner was like, Boims, I think that's T'Pol. We were all very excited. So they are trying to essentially, in this version, this side of the universe is also tracking down what's causing all of these rifts. They seem to actually be more on the track of all of it and have been following along. I really enjoyed all of the science about how, like, when you create an energetic, I was like, I can feel all our fun science advisors all over this. So I enjoyed that. And then getting to see the not cute version of the Quopians was pretty fun. And then the amount of work that Garrett had to do for the amount of Harry Kims. How long do you think he was in the booth just doing a lot of different alts of a bunch of the same lines?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I mean, I'm glad he's working. Other than the comic on the Star Trek cruise, which we can all get some footage of if if we just subscribe to our Patreon. I think I'm a big fan of calling out the injustice of Harry Kim's non-promotion. Because 7 years is a long time to be an ensign, and I gotta say, as an Asian man, I'm like that's not cool.
Yeah, I feel like I did like when they were all sitting around being like, so in your universe, did Voyager make it home? Where did you all I enjoyed seeing them all comparing notes. And do you think in a Prime universe, if our Harry Kim had been made a lieutenant too early, he would have become an egomaniac?
Do you think Lieutenant Kim was an egomaniac?
I think he he was literally willing to destroy the universe.
But he didn't know that.
Yeah, but I think the interesting thing about that was, he was a lieutenant, and yet when it came to following orders, he didn't. He was like, no, I'm not. I'm doing. I know best.
Yeah, and
that was at the point where I was like, okay, well, yeah, hopefully you burn up 1,000 deaths in inside some star.
Oh, because the system is always fair, and a 7-year ensign is totally legitimate for her.
But here's the thing. I mean, I can see it, right? He got promoted.
So he thinks of himself as above everyone else.
No, I think he's thinking no, I'm the average. I'm normal, and you guys have been gypped. Let me help you guys get gypped. I'm just saying, how long has Boimler been a lieutenant junior grade?
A season.
Great. Yes. And so how long we've been on this trek for? How long?
A 5-year mission.
5 years, right? Oh, is there a Captain Boimler?
There's not a Captain Boimler.
Oh, I believe there is. I believe there's a Captain
William.
Thomas. It will. Yeah. So come on, Harry was on Voyager for 7 years. 7 years.
They were busy trying to get out of the Delta Quadrant.
Listen, I'm not gonna say that was right, because it wasn't.
They did him dirty. I agree.
Yes.
They did him dirty.
Even Tom Paris, who got kicked out of Starfleet and went to jail, was a higher rank than Harry Kim.
We're not talking about Voyager, Paul.
Yeah,
I understand the flaw.
Listen, listen.
The system is unjust.
Bringing it back to lower decks. Here's where I kind of fall on this, right? So yes, I do believe that the system of having non-promotable Kims was unjust. However, for Lieutenant Kim to say, you know what, I'm going to save you, whether you want to be saved or not, you don't know what's good for you. When the Kims said, hey, I don't want this, no, I know what's best for you. That's not a savior. That's an oppressor of a different name. Right? That's a savior complex.
I agree with that.
So that's when I was like, I'm out, dude.
I think there are a lot of people who are like it's okay, British rule is okay, and there were some intrepid Americans that said no, we're being abused, dump that tea in.
But the Americans were also
Well,
oppressors.
I'm
Yes.
just saying,
yes.
like
But what we're talking about is when you are
You
oppressed,
can't use
rising
American
up and going,
history
I
as a
won't.
good.
No.
I'm just saying, like, we are the beneficiaries of all these things. Like, I'm just saying we call out oppression where we see it in this particular case. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not defending, like, Lieutenant Kim for being for making a mistake. But he's just underlying, like, hey, like, sometimes CEOs get shot. Is that it?
Sometimes they do. Um, speaking of unexpected cameos, Boimler, when all of them are
I'm out on that one.
Yeah, the Quopians, I was like, they're listening. I was like, we have 2 weeks before we're under a different regime.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you.
We get into the cell where they've all been captured, and we get a big reveal that the other captain of the ship that's been inadvertently causing the extra fissures in time because they didn't do their maths correctly is Lily Sloan, the other scientist who invented in this universe, quantum reality drive, but the warp drive. Back with Cochrane. I thought that was fun. That was unexpected for me.
It was completely unexpected.
Like,
but go ahead, Paul.
Lily Sloan is, like, in our timeline, long dead. So is the reality drive like a temporal drive as well?
I mean, I'm assuming so. If you're jumping through a lot of different realities,
I don't know. Like that's like I could forgive T'Pol because Paul's Vulcan.
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously because the Curzon that we have is after.
But they even said, like, here's a Curzon who never found,
Jadzia.
So yeah, I'm like I don't care. It was just interesting.
I'm assuming so because they're all wearing like Enterprise era uniforms.
Yeah.
It has to be temporal.
And I looked at it and thought, this was a nice twist. I can't believe you saved it for like the final 2 episodes. But the idea of a drive that skips across the multiverse rather than a drive that skips across warp time, like space time, like that's actually really interesting. Like, I wonder if we're gonna see novels explore that more. Right?
This is like opening up a whole new era for the Trek franchise to add on. That's when I was saying earlier, I love when Lower Decks says, like, yes, we're going to play in the universe, but we are going to make significant additions. Like, this to me is one of those significant additions. And we'll get into, Starbase 80 and things like that for the next episode in a second. But I thought this was so fun and clever and a cool thing to set up that this is an option, and like how many cool other alti spaces can we explore now that we know that there is this capability.
Did you guys never see Sliders?
Yes, I've seen Sliders many times. I think my thought was, look out, Marvel. Star Trek has decided that they want to enter the multiverse. So good luck.
I like that it was kind of a commentary on when we do pull in these like multiverse like plot points into pieces of media. And I think Mike McMahon the whole crew did a good job of kind of poking fun, but still making something worthwhile within it. If you were having the argument with Bashir and Garak, who do you think, where do you think they should live? Whose universe?
I originally was thinking, like, how about a different one? Right.
Pick a different one. That could be fun.
Pick a different one. Like, they're arguing, and I'm thinking, just go to something where new. Settle where somewhere new where you both are on the adventure and the journey together. That's what I thought. Like, it's no fun going back to someone's house, someone's neighborhood where they know everybody and you know no one, like that's not that much fun, to be honest with you.
Huh.
Uh-oh.
Maybe.
I done stepped in it now.
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not a person who goes like, "Hey, there's no place like home," but like, I just kind of think that like, what the hell does like Bashir care? He's like kind of hologram. Oh no, here comes that hologram bit again.
Yeah, I think Kieran makes a good point. They better pick the one that respects the rights of holograms more than the Prime Universe.
Yes.
Also that. Okay, and then eventually we've alluded to the Lieutenant Kim takes over the multiverse traveling ship and causes a huge rift that has the potential to destroy everything. But then William Boimler is like, I got it. Send it to my other Boims because that Boims got it. And I laughed so hard when it cuts back to the Cerritos where he just goes, holy shit, we're all gonna die. But yeah.
That was hilarious. That absolutely was hilarious, but perfect. Like that's exactly what you would expect to happen.
It was perfect. And I really I thought to me, one of the most touching parts of this episode was the moment where they commented about how no matter, when he's like, why do you want to explore all these multiverses? Like, aren't you satisfied enough with finding strange new worlds, blah, blah, blah. And I keep wanting to say Lily Gladstone, but Lily Sloan is like, isn't it so beautiful that no matter what universe it is, you and Mariner have a trust that spans all space and time and universes? And I was like, that is so sweet and cute. And I just I don't know why the power of friendship has really been hitting me in the feels. And I think it's really nice.
Yeah, no.
No, I agree.
No feelings. No feelings in the room on power of friendship. Okay,
it defies physics. It defies gravity.
It really does.
Yeah,
but is this feeling so sudden and new?
Yeah, I thought that Star Trek has a habit of choosing a couple that they kind of highlight and promote, and what we see here, and even anytime we have a kind of a male-female relationship on Star Trek, we almost immediately want to ship them, right? We we want them to be in a relationship.
I don't.
Okay, I'm not saying you specifically, Paul. I'm just saying there's a lot of people out there. Yeah, the royal we, right? It's the Riker and the Troy, will they, won't they? It's the Picard and Crusher, will they, won't they? It's the Seven and Chakotay, will they, won't they? There's
I feel like
bunch
most
of stuff
people are on the Janeway Chakotay, will they, won't they? But yeah.
Sure. I mean, I feel like that's where people were, and then the writers just kind of went left on us.
Like the Salamander Janeway and the Salamander Paris, will they, won't they?
Yeah, classic, will they, won't they?
But I think what we found here with Lower Decks is you've got Mariner and Boimler who are just friends and have a great friendship that we get to see a platonic relationship that defies not only gravity, but space-time continuum as well. So quantum space has no difference for their friendship.
Yeah.
So that's amazing, actually.
And I liked that this episode too, we got to also see, I think, the different variations of relationships that can span space and time, with Garak and Bashir, and then with Dax and T'Pol. It's at the end when she's like, I'll save all of your memories and bring them back to your planet. I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah.
And then she was like, that was a lot more than I bargained for. Whoopsie. Mindful. USB is full. What do you think our William Boimler is doing after this?
Oh, isn't he exploring the the multiverse? Didn't we see him at the end of Nunu?
Oh, is that him?
I thought so. I could be wrong.
I assume that all of them were going to be exploring the multiverse together.
Our William Boims? Yeah, that's probably true. That's true. That's right. We did get the cut to their ship. But yeah, I thought this was a fun setup for the the next episode. This one was the third longest of the series behind season 4 finale and season 2 finale. The next episode is the longest episode of the series. Shall we dive into our finale?
Sure,
Let's do it.
All right. The new Next Generation, written by Mike McMahon, directed by Megan Lloyd. We start with classic screaming Boimler. We also got a previously on, which we've only ever gotten a few other times here on the show. And we have, Boim's obsessing over the pad. T'Lyn and Tendi are techno babbling. And then Rutherford is complaining about how old the technology is on the Cerritos, which I thought was like kind of a soft plot line that they've had for him this season. I feel like Rutherford probably had the least amount of sort of growth out of our core 4. But what do you sort of think of like starting here at the beginning of this finale? Where have our core sort of like, honestly, he has the biggest arc this episode, but
So
for Rutherford, but
are we engaging the core?
We're engaging the core 4, if you will. What did you think of like where we've started and where we're kind of heading into this episode with them?
Like I said before, for this season, I feel like they're doing Rutherford dirty as far as like I feel like they just aren't like he's been given stuff, but like it doesn't seem like it's any real. After like Tendi got back, I think he just kind of like doing whatever. I think Tendi's doing fine. I thought it would be a more Tendi specific season, but I can see why there was a handoff. Like Tendi had to get back, and then we did the
we had the competition. Yeah,
the although even then, like I'm not exactly excited about that because it sort of makes Tendi a little petty in a way, like in a way that I'm not. I don't think I've seen in the last 4 episodes. Like she's so giving and altruistic, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, I want this, me, and I'm going to do all the anyway. With Mariner, I think Mariner's been consistent. It just hasn't been very dramatic. Like she's just gone like, oh, I'm learning to be in charge.
Yeah. Which I think after 4 previous seasons of like
no notes
of
for her,
lots of fallbacks, yeah, it makes sense for her character.
Yeah, and with Boimler, like it seems fine, for him to like go like, oh, there's a better me. I'm just going to take the guy to becoming the better me. So yeah, I think those two were given like a real start and end. I think Tendi was given something usable, and I think Rutherford, like they just kind of go like, well, we don't really need him too much, because this last episode I go like, where's all this coming from? Like, have I seen him not like the Cerritos before this episode? I
mean, he's been frustrated with things, and then he's been fiddling a lot with his implant and things like that.
But have we seen him frustrated with the Cerritos in a way that isn't like, oh, goody, I get to remove a plasma conduit or something? Like this seemed a little completely out of character for me, but maybe I missed something.
Well, I'll tell you kind of where I landed on this to answer your question, Mariah. You said something earlier, right? Like they found out about that this was going to be the final season about halfway through. That's what it feels like from a development standpoint. It feels like this was going to be a Tendi kind of centric season, and we started off that way, and
then they're like, now we have to give everyone plot lines to wrap up,
right? And so they had to do a speed kind of wrap up, and I think what we see from Rutherford in particular is this idea of him coming to terms with his humanity, for lack of a different word. Ever since we've seen Rutherford from the beginning, he's had this implant that he's relied on. And it's like, oh, it's so cool. I can do this with my implant. And I think they had a plan in place to gradually move him away from that and bring him back to like, no, I'm not part cyborg. And they had to put that in the warp drive and really kind of give us to us at warp 10. And then I think with Mariner, what struck me was not so much her leadership journey, but she seems like a whole person. And I think a lot of that has to do with the reconciliation of her parents.
Mhm.
It's like this childhood trauma that she's had has been dealt with, and that has opened up the rest of her life. She's not nearly as rebellious as she has been in the beginning. Before, she was rebellious for the sake of being rebellious. Now she's a Starfleet officer who bends the rules when it feels like that's the right thing to do for the cause. And it feels like that's been a big change since her mother was taken and then on trial and then rescued, and she really didn't have a whole lot to do with it. There's something there that just seemed to connect, like their relationship is very different now. And I think we saw that in the final episode. There was a lot of, no, I trust you. Like, really? So I think that's a big piece. And I think Boimler has come to, I think his journey has been really interesting to me, is because he got to see a glimpse of himself that he wasn't sure was possible. And leaning on, almost looking at this manifestation of positive thinking and affirmations.
It's like he had The Secret, like the Star Trek version of The Secret.
Right. It's like, it's like he's like, who could you really be? It's almost if you got to see yourself as your most like
you made every right decision.
Oh, so
right.
Like basically me looking in the mirror.
Yes,
exactly.
Or me looking at you, Paul, in the mirror and go,
just so you know, like, you know, like this is it. Like, this is as good as, like, I don't get better. And that's not me bragging. That's me going like, oh, my life is so pathetic. There's no better version of this.
But I think with Boimler, like what we saw very subtly was a lot less anxiety. Like, he had confidence. Now, it was confidence in this pad that told him, you can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like he had somebody always yelling in his ear, like, you can do it. And, you know, to the point where people were like, no, the beard looks good, man. Like, you look good.
Also,
like,
the beard is purple. The purple hair is natural.
I mean, yes, the carpet matches the drapes.
I just remember.
I don't know why I went there.
That was a question. I think Jack Quaid posed about how he didn't know if the purple was the real hair or not, and he's like,
it's just it's an undercoat. It's an undertone.
It's from the grape soil, right? Or the raisins. It's from the raisins in the grapes.
Oh, there we go. There.
That's the raisins in the grapes. We also got a fun little arc with our pal Maha, who was attacked by Relga, who has like the ugliest little dog creature I've ever seen in my life.
Wow, I didn't know you were so. Oh my god,
the Targ is ugly.
Anti-Targ. This
Targ is ugly.
This is not okay, Mariah.
That thing was terrible.
It was just like all the noises, really, that got me. I have a hard time with those.
It was the close-ups, like it's like the view screen comes on, and it's like, like why would you do that?
Is it like a Deadpool reference with the dog pool? Like,
I don't know. But the thing I think I loved the most about this episode was our Upper Decks reaction to them having to save the day, when they're just like, really, the Enterprise isn't around. You know, they're just like, you know, oh, we're gonna report this. This is way above our pay grade. Like, do not worry. And I thought that was just like so funny that they're like, shit, we have to do it. Like, it was the most relatable thing of like, oh, we found the thing, we've informed everyone, everything's gonna be okay. And then you're like, wait, I have to also solve the problem. I saw the problem, I alerted people who are smart of me to the problem, but now you're saying I have to solve the problem.
Cali class, baby.
Cali class.
Yes. Cali class.
I did love the entire sequence of changing all of the ships. I thought that was so fun, and getting to see like all the different versions.
I think my favorite part was like Bird of Prey to Klingon wood ship to like people floating into space.
I know.
I was like, oh, that's a little dark. I mean, it's a lot of funny, but a little dark.
It was hilarious. It was
isn't this
absolutely hilarious.
like
And then them all being like, "Can that happen to us?"
like and did like Kayshawn like drop a actual F-bomb? Did you catch that?
I did
oh,
not.
they usually bleep all of them. Are you sure?
No. I thought they did on purpose. I go like, oh, was that?
I'll have to rewatch and listen more
Yeah.
carefully.
No, my favorite was when the Cerritos turned into a Terran ship,
mhm.
Yeah.
and Shax is like,
Like,
"Oh, this is great!" And it's like,
happens.
nothing works. I was like,
like,
that
oh.
would have been perfect. Yes,
It was so funny. I loved going down to navigation and like it's like we got to see, I'm glad we got to see everybody. You know what I mean? I know not everyone got like a full chance to shine, but I'm glad we got to see everybody through the entire sequence. And I love that Mariner's the one who figures out like a way to save the day. And I thought that was like a really nice moment for our kind of hero character.
Yeah, I don't. Yes, I love that. Yes, but like when a river, comes and
on
like
the farms,
on the
yes.
farm, and you can't stop the river, so I make a dam. You've just stopped the river.
I mean,
Like I don't know how that's like fortune cookie Klingon wisdom, but like the dam stops the river.
I mean, but you have to. It regulates.
It controls
the
the flow. You have to control the flow.
because you can't completely stop it. Water is not to be messed with. Water finds a way.
Water does find a way, much like Jeff Goldblum and dinosaurs.
Yes.
I liked when Tendi and T'Lyn realized like their powers combined. We are Captain Planet, can
That's right.
fix everything.
Wonder
It was
Twins.
really Wonder Twins. That was sweet. One of my favorite things is maybe that T'Ana still has on half of her sexy time role play outfit. She still has on the eye patch and the hat for a lot of the sequencing for when they get called out. It was great. I loved it so much. I really enjoyed the finale. I thought it was beautiful. I also think my thing is like, does this perfectly set up that the live action is just a comedy that takes place on Starbase 80 that's at this multiverse portal?
Yeah, I don't think so because it's in Discovery Times, right?
Not Academy. The comedy that Tawny's writing. They've released literally no information other than it's a comedy and that Tawny and Justin Simeon are writing it.
Yeah, I mean, a Starbase 80 comedy sets up really well.
With
know,
sorry. I just realized I was like, the cast on that would be fucking stacked.
I mean, but not only that, you're at this portal, right? Of this basically this quantum fissure, which means you have literally the entire catalog plus
Everything.
new things and versions of everything in the catalog at your disposal.
Yeah.
Right. Like
also you have Don Lewis and Nicole Byer as your leads. I'm sorry. Sign me up. Sign me up.
All I know is like they aren't making a remake of Sliders.
Just saying.
Sheila
is Jaleesa. Jaleesa is Sheila. No fool me. No fool me. Sheila is Jaleesa.
Chiefy says the show's a resort, which isn't greenlit yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, I like your idea better, Mariah.
Starbase 80 be a good time.
I don't know. The House of Korg, Game of Thrones, Klingon Game of Thrones.
Klingon Game of Thrones. That's still there too. Don't worry about it. We
Yeah.
can have everything we want in my pretend mind brain universe.
That's right.
What did we think about Ollie getting to use her demigod powers to kind of zap the Klingons to get rid of their shield powers?
Sure.
Yay. Okay.
I think
cool.
it made sense in the longer arc of this season. If it was,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's like, again, to Clyde's point, I think if they had known this was the last season from the very beginning, it would have been a little bit different. But I thought it was like a nice way to tie back because I thought this season actually did one of the better jobs of really tying in all of the tertiary characters we got at the beginning of the season into the finale.
Yes.
Word. Like I like for me, I go like, oh, why is her like lightning bolt able to take down like the Klingon shields? One shot.
Well, it was
Whereas,
just the updates. It was just the updates.
Updates, yeah.
like
Yeah.
how does that work?
I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not the science advisor.
I don't get either. Like how does one like cartoon lightning
But
bolt
it's
go?
the TOS. It's when Apollo shooting lightning at Kirk's Enterprise. It's it's a fun
Apollo never shot
reference.
lightning at Kirk's Enterprise. Apollo crushed it with the hand.
Was it the hand? I thought it
Like,
was
they-
lightning.
Okay, I don't think I'm wrong.
I think all in all, Mariah, I agree with you. I thought this season did a great job of like bringing in these introductions that we had that were kind of like, what is this? And then bringing them full circle. It was, I enjoyed this. I think it could have been more. Like, I'm like, man, you really
I need
got
a
to
movie.
a great point. Yeah.
Well,
I knew-
for me, like there are things that I go like, okay, we're gonna sliders, but like, does this quantum fissure exist in like like burn times? Does it exist in Star Trek? Like Picard times, old Picard. Like I don't know.
It would be so I guess timeline wise it would exist in the Picard era, and it would technically, I don't know if it gets destroyed in the burn, who knows.
Yeah,
That
I
would
mean,
be a
like,
question.
and just so, like, there were times when like they were considering collapsing the what you call it,
the wormhole.
Yeah.
It's
So
possible.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
That's
know
what I
what
would
they
do.
did thousands of years into the future. We just know what they did in this era. What else was I going to say? I had something and then I forgot. I like that we also got Ransom being shown as like, the capability. He got like, I'm a capable leader, right? When he's like, oh, I noticed there was something off with the Admiral Freeman message. And so I'm the one who hid the other Klingon, right?
yeah, I mean, I thought that was very first officer of Ransom saying like,
Yeah.
like you couldn't do it, so I did it.
Yeah.
It made me go like, this admiral is your husband. Did you not notice that something weird about it, girl?
It took your first officer.
Yeah, I mean, like,
They don't see each other very often.
like, apparently not. That's why they had to like work at the Starbase together. But I was like this.
I like that they ended up at the Starbase together.
I
thought that was
do
really sweet.
too. I do too.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'm very happy. I want marriages to stay together.
Who do you think is going to make number one between Mariner and Boymes?
Mariner.
I don't know. Like I think in the end, like my question is like, who do you think would be a better number one?
Mariner. And here's I keep just saying that. Like,
I think it honestly depends on the captain.
Well, it's Ransom.
I know. So with like to Clyde's point, I think with Ransom, it has to be Mariner.
Yeah. We've seen them work together. We've
Yeah.
seen them work together a number of times, and they actually work well together. There's this balance of by the book and kind of looseness, right? I think Boimler is still too by the book, right? I think he's going to be a great officer, but he's still kind of by the book. And I don't think he has enough of he's not quite there yet.
Like Mariner
confidence
could be a
standpoint.
captain with the amount of time that she's spent, right?
I
Like,
think Mariner
Yeah.
could be a captain. I'm just thinking like, who would be you asked who would the
yeah,
first
no, I know.
officer would be?
I know.
like,
That's what we're
I
talking
think
about.
this is the right step for Mariner to becoming a captain.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Sitting in the
don't
number
know.
one seat.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with Boymes.
Going with the Boymes.
I'm going with Boymes
Interesting
because, like,
choice.
because I believe in
rules.
hard work, the
And
rules,
raisins.
and raisins, and hot dogs. No sauce.
No
No,
sauce hot
man.
dogs.
No.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, back in the last episode, the thing that instead of what you call it, Curzon, it would have been better if it was an alt version of peanut hamper.
Oh, there it is. That is the only person who is missing from this finale. Because Badgie
Well
got
played.
a moment.
I didn't see it coming.
You really
Well
did
done.
it.
I did
You
not.
really did it.
You're right, though. We did not get a peanut hamper.
I underplayed it, Clyde. I slow played it.
You did.
You did. Like, you had me leaning in and everything. Like, well done, sir.
We did find out who made Rutherford. Oh, did we ever find out the name? I think it was just Section 31 was the vibes, right? Of who made Rutherford into a
It wasn't even
a
Section
cyborg.
31. It was Buen Amigo.
That's right.
Yeah, we didn't get the full like what happened and why.
Mhm.
Oh,
There just wasn't enough time.
Like Buen Amigo, they were doing stuff with what you call it, AI and like some.
I like vaguely remember this whole episode. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like basically
When he was a commander. Yeah.
Basically they were doing some dark ops stuff
Mhm.
and then like it blew up and like Buen Amigo needed like deniability.
Like essentially what leads up to the Texas class ships that have all their AI issues. Classic Texas.
Mhm.
Do you think Jerry O'Connell holds over Rebecca Romaine's head that he is now a captain of a Starfleet ship and she is still number one?
I mean,
Not if he's smart.
That's the correct answer.
I'm just saying.
no, you don't know what kind of power dynamic they have.
I'm just saying, no, when you've outkicked your coverage. So if he's smart, he never brings it up ever.
I don't know. It might not be the way it works. Like they're to each their own, right?
Just saying. I would not bring it up.
Okay.
I don't enjoy sleeping on couches. I'm just saying.
Clyde, that says something about you and your relationship. I don't know if you want
really
to tell
about
that much.
it's about my back, right? And I'm just saying, I don't enjoy sleeping on couches. I like to sleep in my nice sleep number bed. Like, I want.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Set to my number. I'm not telling you what my number is, but like it's set to my. I don't want to sit on the couch.
Just so you know,
bad
like,
jokes.
So, like V and I were looking for beds like a couple years ago, like a decade ago, basically, and we went to a sleep number store kind of thing, and they had the bed that you both lie down on it, and then they measure what number you are, and this one you had two different people lie on it, and then they do the compromise. Hers was 3, mine was 7, and the compromise was 7. It was such it was like, you know, they did not make a sale that day, but it was such my dynamic in my relationship. V was like
as we enter mattress chat for our pod. Here's
Mariner did light her bed on fire. Yes. It is a relevant conversation. Relevant conversation.
Because it's the wrong number.
I was not interested. I'll say this. I was not interested in the sleep number. I was like, no. And we went into a store. We laid down on the bed and they did it. And what we did was we did the split bed. And they said, let's see what your numbers are individually. And my number was really low. So out of 100, it was a low number. And her number was really, really high. And I was like, oh, so this is why every time we've bought a new mattress in our life,
one of us wants to kill the other one.
One of us is not happy.
Yeah.
And so now you have a split, and it's like, oh, well, my number's low and her number's high, and everybody's happy. Right? I'm like, that works. So then I was like, I see the value in this now. So.
There you go.
Welcome. Sleep Number, you can sponsor this podcast. Please just email us.
I got more stories if you want.
As like Oscar Mayer.
You want to pay for them.
Oscar
or
Mayer,
Hebrew National.
Hebrew National.
Yes.
Either way.
Gray's Papaya, if you want.
Or any peanut company.
I do love a Gray's Papaya.
Any peanut company or any hamper company.
Any hamper company. Here for it. Laundry will do it. Okay. The other dynamic I wanted to talk about was at the end, we get sort of a flustered Tendi and Rutherford moment, very handsome. I thought this was a cute way to still leave it as a will they, won't they, of like, is it going to maintain the friendship or
Nathan is the best. Fair. Nathan, if you're hearing this, you know.
Nathan's is the best according to Keen. Anyway, I do like a Dodger dog with barbecue sauce on it, and
Any sauces do, just not naked.
just not naked, not a naked dog.
A naked
What did
dog
y'all
is a
think of the
terrible
Tendi
phrase.
Rutherford moment at the end? I also thought this was a sneaky way that if they ever wanted to do live action stuff, Eugene Cordero now does not have to sit in a bunch of hair and makeup.
I love that. Yeah. I've never been a Rutherford Tindy ship fan. Like I'm a person who and I don't want to be this way about it because it makes me sound whatever. Like, I think it's capable. People are capable of being platonic friends with different genders. I think
we get that with Mariner and Boymes.
But you know, like for all of it, like I don't know if, like, do you think Tendi sees Rutherford that way?
Yes.
I think they could. I don't. I can't answer for sure.
That's not the question. The question is, like,
I don't know if she thinks about that because I think she is so focused on her science work. I've never seen her in a place where she's like, Rutherford actively dates from the pilot episode. He's going on a date.
Yeah. No.
But Tendi never seems to be that interested, I think, in pursuing romantic relationships.
Yeah. Like,
look, I'll say that I probably get this wrong more than not. So do you like them more as a friend or do they not? There's something there. I see something there with Tendi, right? Like I see that she looks at him. What I can't quite tell is this someone that she
there's an incoming message coming?
You're wrong, Clyde. That's me. Shut up. Shut up.
No, what's funny is I know who this is, and I threatened someone that if they called while I was on the podcast, I was going to answer the call for everybody on the podcast. I am not going to do that.
Oh, so they called your bluff. So you've lost.
They didn't. No. They don't know. They don't know I'm on a podcast, and this person would be forever mortified if I answered and let them and be like, hey, you're live on the Star Trek Discovery podcast with 2,000 people. Would you like to say hello? They would be absolutely terrified. And the person in my house who I did this to would also never forgive me. So I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I think that Tendi sees him and there's a connection there. I just don't know if it's friend or if it's more than friend, but she's not ready for it. I think Rutherford likes her, and why wouldn't he? She's hot. So
yeah,
I do think it's something more.
Did y'all watch the?
Why wouldn't she, like, you know? I love it when they go like, why wouldn't she? She's smart.
She's a lot of things.
This is an
she's
interesting
smart.
note from
she's hot.
Miss Powell
she's
family.
Confident.
It says now that Rutherford can be his unsuppressed self, Tendi can learn who he actually is. Is she in love with the fake construct of Rutherford? Or
bam, Miss Powell family, you have won the podcast today.
Yes,
that is you. That is so hundo.
I'm like,
so
get her a mic, turn on the camera. You can be the fourth person. That was a very perfect statement. Yes,
like,
very
astute. To the heart. Very good. Very good.
Very astute.
Nothing else after that.
No notes. I thought it was interesting. Did y'all watch the Ready Room for this? They actually put up a special Ready Room for the finale.
I didn't notice.
They had an interview with the Core Four, and they talked about like the friendship between Boimler and Mariner, and then they talked about like the potential crush romance thing between Rutherford and Tendi, and both Noel Wells and Eugene Cordero talked about how they really enjoyed the friendship that the two of them had. But so it was kind of funny because Will was the only one who was sort of talking about it as a potential romantic situation, whereas the two people who were portraying them the whole time were essentially like, we think of them as these sort of like workplace besties.
Yeah, no.
So I thought that was interesting.
Me too. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I think Tendi is a catch. I think she's not interested in dating.
Yeah, I
agree with that.
But I think Miss Powell said it for everyone. She has to actually figure out who he is.
That's really true because he's different and a little bit more awkward
Which
now.
Is kind of interesting. Rutherford has reset multiple times through the series. So it's kind of like she never really gets the opportunity to know who this person is.
No. Love it.
Cheapy says it'll be a 12-year slow burn, very Trek.
Oh my god.
But does anyone know how
She's
long
not
Orions
wrong.
live?
How
I don't know. How
I
long
don't
do
know how
Orions
long
live?
Orions live. I'm not sure about the lifespan of Orion.
Like,
I think we also don't know what Tendy's pre-Federation life was like. It's kind of one of those things where
We
if
got a
she had
little
lot-
glimpse. Yeah.
yeah, she's had a lot of like romantic, like, I don't want to call them entanglements, but situations. To your point, she may just not be interested in that right now,
Mhm.
and perfectly content with like hey, I've kind of like Orion's, we start that early, I've done that, I'm not interested, I'm focused here, this is about something else.
Yeah.
And then maybe she'll look up one day and be like, all right, now I'm ready, and they'll see where they're at. And to Choopy's point, that's the I'm dating somebody, you're dating someone, and I'm
Trek
single.
way.
Yeah, like, you know, and it'll be 12 years and they're like,
Mhm.
hey.
Yeah. I also I liked the moment too when Boimler broke the pad, because he was like, I'm tired of this sort of like running what's happening in this era. And yeah, I thought that was like a big character growth moment for Boimler in this episode.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. But he's already achieved it. He's already achieved, like, he got the
He's
beard.
achieved it, but I think he saw that it was gonna hurt Mariner, like, to keep having it around, you know, like it was causing
But he's already
problems.
achieved it.
I mean, yeah, it's easy
He went
to
full
be like,
beard.
let me get rid of this thing.
You
Now
got
that I
full
don't
beard.
need
I
it
mean, like, it's
anymore.
like you got everything you needed. Everyone's
Yeah.
acknowledged you're cooler now. Okay, I can.
Yeah.
It's like you have crutches and then you walk fine. You're running marathons and then you go like, I don't need these crutches anymore. How brave!
I did like the montage at the end. We got twin twins again,
Yeah, I thought that was great.
and we
The
got
Twains, yes.
Curzon, and we got Mealy Mo. We got to kind of see everybody. We got little glimpses of other
Did we get
lower
Curzon?
deckers.
Yeah.
The Curzon, didn't he die?
Oh, not Curzon.
Kayshawn.
Kayshawn, the security officer. And I thought they left it on like a nice note that
Yep.
it could continue one day if they wanted it to. It could not, and I thought it really opened. It like did the satisfying thing of like, I feel closure with our main characters. I feel like I can imagine where they go, and it's not like in a disappointing way. I think Miss Powell Asper's engineering Mariner, I imagine they probably dropped her back off at her original
I hope so.
situation.
She seemed happy.
And then we've got the guy who fell through the moist vessel into sick bay. Oh, it was the guy who ascended in moist vessel who saw the koala. He came back and fell into sick bay.
I was trying to figure out who exactly that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad we got
thank
to
you.
see little peeks to everybody. Again, no peanut hamper unless we missed her, but I feel like we would have
It's
spotted.
worth a rewatch then.
It's worth a rewatch, definitely.
And actually, like, let me know if I just heard the F-bomb or if you know, because
Yeah, we'll have to go back and figure it out. But any final thoughts?
Well done, Star Trek.
Yeah, hats off, Mike McMahon, for being like a cool fan, a cool creator, making a really fun show. I think giving us probably one of my favorite casts in Star Trek that I'm excited to continue to see at events into the future.
You know what? Like, let's rewind to the, because like McMahon's part of what you call it, Rick and Morty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the Harrys just remind me of like
all the Ricks.
No, all the Jerrys of the Jerry Marie kind of episode.
I've only seen like 5 episodes of Rick and Morty, so
I know what you're talking about, Paul. Yeah,
and it's like I just feel like it just did injustice for Kim. Like, you know, it like I feel like Kim is there's only like. Do you remember the episode of Voyager where Kim is really old and cynical, and like comes back from the future, or like doesn't come back from the future, like, you know, digs up Voyager and like sends a message back to the past. Do you remember that episode? Like he and Chakotay wind up killing Voyager.
Yes.
go-
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And so I feel like that was the only real like juicy Harry Kim role. All the other ones, he's just this like lovable doofus kind of thing. And like, you know, in that way, like all the Kims of the ship was the lovable doofus, and Lieutenant Kim was more like the old grizzly. Timeless. Yes, Choopy. That was it. Anyway, just a hot take.
A hot take from Paul.
Hot Paul.
Hot Paul.
Hot Paul.
Clyde, any closing thoughts?
No, like I said, just really, really satisfied with this series. You know, I think when we first began this, I was questioning how similar to Rick and Morty will this be, and do I want the Rick and Mortyized Star Trek version? And you know, I feel silly doubting Mike McMahon and team now, because I think they've done something that's been really incredible. It doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like Rick and Morty. I like this better than I like Rick and Morty. But it's not a apples to apples. It's different, and they hit just the right note with this. I mean, a Star Trek comedy, like who really would have thought that would have been something that you can pull off? And then to say, I'm going to do a Star Trek comedy animated series, they nailed it. And so, so when it's all said and done, I think it's great. And I think it's plenty rewatchable, which I think is critical for Trek. Like you got to be able to go back and watch reruns of this stuff. And again, they nailed it. So I'm just really impressed.
Yeah, I think from, you know, our rewatch leading up to this season, I agree that this is probably, I think, one of the most rewatchable Treks, because I think it's an easy thing to put on. It's fun. You're like, oh, I forgot about this. This is really silly. The jokes are so layered and so dense that I feel like every time I watch, I hear a different joke that I didn't maybe catch the first time around. And I just think it's a delightful crew, and I'm sad to see them go, but I'm excited to see what like Tawny brings to the Star Trek universe in this next iteration. And I hope we get to see more Mike McMahon creations in the future.
Cool.
But on that note, y'all, we hope you all have a safe and happy holidays. We will be back in January. Hang out in the Slack. You can come do that by joining the Patreon. On that note, friendship, live long and prosper. Bye.
Don't eat mistletoe. It's poisonous.
It's bad. Bye-bye.
Boy.
Whoosh.